This religion, unlike Islam, must simply be destroyed, at least as a public doctrine. It must be banished from public life, from schools and universities, from businesses and public services. It needs to be sent back to the fringes of eccentricity, like the modern druids who invest Stonehenge in my constituency.
If you are confused about what you just saw here, this is Danny Kruger, one of the major members of the Conservative Party in England. And here he was giving a passionate speech where he was trying to analyze the social breakdown that has been plaguing England recently. And he's trying to pinpoint the sources of these problems in two different religious movements, Islam and Paganism. Now, he doesn't specify what is his problem with Islam. As a matter of fact, he highlights how much he agrees with his Muslim colleagues on social and moral matters. So he quickly just turns towards the far worse problem, which is us pagans. He describes paganism as a kind of woke ideology that is against families, the nation, and Christianity. He calls it ugly and aggressive, and he describes it as a kind of materialistic, modernist problem that should be eradicated from British society. Now, his 11-minute long speech is actually just a bunch of fallacies and contradiction, which basically makes his final conclusion just empty words, just as empty as the chamber was, basically. And we can easily test that through the two major statements that he's repeating through the whole speech. The first one being is that England, English culture, society and history was founded on Christianity. Now he brings a few examples and he's actually right in them. And it is true that Christianity enriched English culture. This should be acknowledged. But I mean, come on. Anybody who has a basic high school level history knowledge about England knows very well that before the English people were Christians, they were first and foremost pagans. It was Anglo-Saxon paganism that was foundational for the English people. And Kruger mentions the Christian kings and he mentions how the chamber was actually built on a Christian chapel. Well, I would recommend him to walk down to the British Museum and check out the Sutton Hoo helmet, which, in my humble opinion, is the most beautiful preserved artifact of the Anglo-Saxons. And it is provenly an Odinistic ritual helmet that was used by Anglo-Saxon kings during sacred banquets. And it is steeped in pagan symbols and one of the best evidence to highlight how pagan religious life intertwined with royal culture existence. Now, the other statement that he repeats again and again is the idea that the reason why Britain became such a diverse, tolerant and pluralistic society is because it's Christian in its essence and it's because of the Christian values that work in it. And again, I could go through some examples from Anglican Church history to show you how intolerant was the Anglican Church towards other Christian denominations or religions. But I think it's even enough to just remind everybody that the whole speech ends in a call for eradicating pagans from the public sphere, which is very far from being tolerant. It's actually his speech. So, that's a very obvious contradiction. So yeah, this whole speech is really just a mumble jumble of words. A very good representation of why he wasn't a very good speechwriter for David Cameron. And the reason why I still wanted to make this video is because this is actually not the first time that he has been bashing us pagans, trying to blame all the problems of Britain on us and trying to demonize us. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago on the National Conservative Conference, he gave a very similar speech where he was also celebrating Brexit and he was likening Boris Johnson to Margaret Thatcher and Winston Churchill. And here again he tries to present pagan religions as materialistic, modern, as globalistic and Marxist, which couldn't be further away from the truth. Pagan religions are actually the complete opposite of this. We put a huge emphasis on local communities. We highlight the responsibilities that you have towards your family and towards your community. We venerate the ancestors, and far from being materialistic, we actually promote the worship of the gods through proper ritual behavior and through moral lifestyles. And they're not even talking about the fact that, there are no druidic grooming gangs going around England. And I never saw a pagan going around shouting, "Odin with us," and trying to stab people on the London Bridge. So yes, far from the conclusion of the speech, I have to say pagan religions are the most archaic and ancient spiritual options that the English people and we Europeans have to solve all the modern problems that have been appearing in recent decades.